Europe at this time. Now, having said that, there was some good news. That's the bad news. The good news is that we have noticed this morning that the Democrat caucus is reported in Politico is split over the bill. This is the bill, this is the cap and trade thing that we're talking about, with coal, oil, manufacturing, state Democrats raising concerns that a cap and trade system would disproportionately spike electricity bills for consumers and businesses in their regions. Now, so there's a recognition now that this thing that we've been talking about ever since the Kyoto Treaty, that the threat at that time that they were talking about is now, everyone realizes it's not what it was. The science has been something that has changed dramatically, and most of the scientists now are saying that this is something that was overstated at one time. The cost, though, is the big thing. You know, the science, I quit arguing about the science a long time ago. I gave a speech from this podium not too long ago, and if anyone's interested in I'd ask my colleagues to go to my website, inhofe.senate.gov, where we listed 700 scientists who were on the other side of this issue, who are now on our side, the skeptic side, recognizing that the science is not there. And they've actually made that statement. David Bellamy from the Great Britain was one of them who was always talking about he's on Al Gore's side on this thing, and he, after going through and restudying and reevaluating the science, he agreed that it really wasn't there. The same thing is true with the leaders in France and in Israel. But what we have now is something that people do understand, and that is the cost of this thing. The consistent cost, Kyoto's cost, if we lived by the emission standards, would have been somewhere, according to the Wharton School of, or the Wharton Econometric Survey, I think it was called, back during the Kyoto days, would be between $300 and $330 billion every year. You know, as bad as the stimulus was, at least that was a one-shot deal, and the people aren't going to have to pay for it every year. This would be every year. Then along came Lieberman in 03 and 05, and the same estimates were made at that time. It would be about a $300 billion tax increase. I can remember going back and remembering 1993 when we had the Clinton-Gore tax increase, which is the largest tax increase in 3 decades. And during that time, we looked at it. It was a $32 billion tax increase, increasing inheritance taxes, marginal rates, cap and gain, capital gains, and all of that. And that was only a $32 billion. This is 10 times that size. Well, the White House was trying to say, and several of them on the other side, in our committee, in fact, the chairman of our committee said, oh, it's just going to cost a postage stamp a day. People are willing to pay for that. Well, those postage stamps must be getting pretty expensive, because now we found out that there was an analysis released by the U.S. Department of Treasury that was held down, not released. Now we know what it is, and they said that the cost would be between $100 billion and $200 billion a year. The cost, this is according to their figures now, the cost to an American household would be an extra $1,761 a year. This is their analysis. Well, I think that's right. In fact, we've seen the CRA report that shows that the cost of this, and MIT agrees with this, I might add, because they evaluated the Warner-Lieberman bill just 12 months ago right now, be closer to $366 billion a year. Well, the cost per family, the study has shown, in my state of Oklahoma, in the state of Texas, we'd be the highest taxed. That would be $3,300 a year per family. I mean, that's huge. Now, I know that the East Coast and the West Coast, it's a little more than half of that, but still, it's a huge tax increase. Now, finally, this report that was put together by the Department of Treasury has been released, and they admit it, and so we can quit talking about some of these things that are just not realistic. So we know what the cost is. We know also that the likelihood of it coming up this year is most unusual. I don't think it's going to happen. The Senate Majority Leader just stated, I think 2 days ago, that the Senate may not act on a comprehensive energy and climate change legislation. Senator Ben Nelson from Nebraska, Democrat, I might add, said we have enough on our plate at the moment with the fight over health care reform. It's questionable to open another front. The Senate Majority Leader, Majority Whip Dick Durbin said last week, adding that it's a difficult schedule. Members are already anxious about health care reform. So I don't think it's going to come up. And I frankly will be here ready to fight to make sure it doesn't come up when the new year comes in. I don't think there are too many people in the United States Senate who want to go into their reelection in 2010 having voted for the largest tax increase in the history of America. And this is exactly what it would be. Let's keep in mind, what was the largest tax increase in the history of America was the 1993 tax increase. This would be 10 times greater than that. And the people now realize that. Well, that was good news today. Since the senator from Tennessee is not here yet, he was due to be here right now.